Hey, Jeff,
Hi, Jordan.
did I ever mention that when we started our agency, I thought I was a lot smarter than you? But I've come to realize that you are truly the brilliant one. You are much better at strategy, creative analytics, and even project management.
Really? I don't think I agree with that.
It's true. And you are kinder, gentler, a better dancer, and an all around better human being.
Gee whiz, Jordan. That's not true.
And have I admitted that almost every article of clothing you wear and sneakers that you buy, I sneak a peek at the label and buy the exact same clothes because you look so good?
Well, I've kind of noticed that. You realize we're already live and recording the podcast, right?
Oh, shit. We're recording already?
3, 2, 1, go!
Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jordan.
Actually, I'm not Jeff, and this isn't Jordan. We were created using generative AI with a tool called Synthesia.
Now let's see what happens when we bypass the avatars and have Google's Notebook LM create AI voices and a 60-second podcast supporting our point of view.
Meaning, let's see what happens when we simply outsource everything to artificial intelligence.
So today we're going to take a deep dive into this whole AI-powered content thing. You know, it's really changing the game in a lot of ways. So we've got these excerpts from AI-powered content, audience understanding, creation, and optimization.
Right.
Really interesting stuff. So let's jump right in. What really stood out to you from this?
Well, I gotta say, the thing that really struck me was this whole idea that content consumption is changing.
Okay.
You know, like it's not about just passively sitting there and taking in whatever's thrown at you anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, think about it.
Right.
How many ads do you actually stop and pay attention to these days?
Exactly.
It's like we've all got these filters
It's
up.
overload, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're bombarded with content all the time.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is people are looking for content that actually speaks to them directly.
Yeah, they want something that resonates with their needs, something that's valuable to them personally.
Right. So it's not just about entertainment anymore.
Not necessarily, no. It's about getting something out of it.
Okay, so where does AI?
All right, dude, let's pause that. You know what they nailed? They nailed the interplay between the hosts.
Better than us.
Yeah, it's one thing to just go on a rant and then it's like you on a rant, like whatever it is. But the interplay, I think they worked really hard on that. And I think that's the smartest thing. That's what makes it feel natural. I actually feel like I'm listening to a Smartless podcast. Just the inflections, the tones. So it's just a little campy and, over the top. But I think it's just really interesting how easy it is and how to put something like that together and how they just nailed it. And taking a complex subject and making it fun to listen to so I can go on a walk and listen to it, pure genius.
It's crazy. I don't understand this one. ChatGPT, I don't know when it came out, a few months ago. In 3.7i, there's infinite number of AI companies. And I'm not talking about all the software companies and whatnot. They're just saying AI. There's real AI companies. That's fucking crazy. This thing is brand new. And they're getting the witty banter. They're getting the emotion. And by the way, they're getting the use case, which is dude, why should I read multiple books in all these articles and PDFs and watch these videos when I prefer podcasts? Just pump it into the thing and it's going to create the podcast for you. And it was about to pick up and say shit, probably smarter than what you and I could say.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're out of a job. All you got to do is pick your favorite topics, create your own podcast. What do you need Jeff and Jordan for?
So, dude, let's pick up on that, right? Because I think that's the big point, which is probably three things to talk about today. One, to your point, what scares the shit out of us? Because I think a lot of people are scared about the fact that not only losing their job, but will all humans lose their jobs? So let's talk about what scares the shit out of us. The second is what excites us. And then the third is what do we need to do as human beings with our human intelligence to offset the fact that the world is greatly shifting over to artificial intelligence?
All right, I'll go first. So you probably saw last week, Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James got into a confrontation on the court.
Saw this video. It was fucking bananas, and I did not realize that it was AI until I started doing a deep dive. There's nothing about it that didn't look perfectly real.
So the video itself, where they're on the court, that's real. But there's no audio, so nobody knew what they said. So, of course, the internet comes in. They're like, we're going to create some AI bullshit, right? Where Stephen A. Smith talks into the camera and says, LeBron James is a punk ass, calling me out for basically saying that, Bronny got drafted only because of you. The better one was LeBron did one, and somebody dubbed over his voice, and he's like, I was going to bitch slap him. I think that was the word they used in the avatar, right? I was going to throw down right there. If you're a man, you want to talk about my son, like, let's go at it. I said, let's throw hands right now here on the court. I was like, I don't know what's real. I literally, for a good 10 seconds, I wasn't sure. That scares the shit out of me because I feel like I'm fairly smart, but not that smart.
Infancy. And I saw that same video, and the only reason I knew it was true is I feel like the people who made the comedic components of it just pushed it to the point where you're like, okay, obviously this isn't real. But it was 100% believable. I watched, you said 10 seconds. I was worse. I was 25 seconds deep into this thing before I realized that this thing is fake. And what happens when we can emulate voices, emulate video? What is the definition of real human beings? What happens to security? Like, I don't know what the answers to these questions are, but fuck if it's not going to be profound.
I actually think it's a good thing. And I'm going to tell you why. We're all moving away from mainstream media, right? You just look at the numbers on alternative platforms. They're skyrocketing, right? Turning to podcasts for their news. The issue is, like, you have all these different opinions. Everybody sounds like they're spitting facts, but you're not quite sure. You need to actually have a very critical, discerning mind, right, through this thing. I actually think over the next couple of years, people are going to develop that cognitive filter to figure out what's real and what's not. What should I listen to? What should I not? What's bullshit? What's true? Like, I think it's all super important, and we're just on this evolutionary road to get there.
So what in that equation scares you the most?
So what scares me is I'll tell you, there's this crazy story that happened last week. So apparently, beauty product company came out with an ad, and it showed a woman who said she is basically like a sheik in Saudi Arabia's girlfriend. And she needs to be kept a certain way. She travels a certain way. She dresses in certain brands. She's a certain skin routine, all because the sheik wants to make sure that I look beautiful, that I am represented in the right light, and all in this uplifting, positive way. Not in like I'm a kept woman, but like I'm living my full potential. And oh, by the way, in the bio of the account, because they didn't push the product really hard in the video, are all the products that she uses. Well, fast forward 5 days later, she's being sued by the FTC, other government organizations, consumer action groups, because it's false advertising. The whole thing was created with AI. The chic, the girl, the scenes, everything.
Real brand, fake everything else?
Real brand, fake everything else. Fake images, fake video, fake chic, fake woman. So as a consumer, yes, you should be rightfully scared. As a brand, you should be scared shitless that you're going to be sued out of existence. You got to be really careful about how you're going to use AI in the future and what its potential uses are.
Well, let's say you're not using AI, and let's say you're not unethical. Let's say you're a great company using real human beings, creating great content, great moral values, but you're throwing that content into the abyss of all this other content. And now content is getting cheaper, faster, easier to develop to the point where we can replace human beings. People are now seeing 5,000 random messages every day. It's going to 10,000. We've seen this data, but what happens when there's just way more AI-generated bullshit content? Like, that's a scary proposition because the brands that are not full of shit are going to get lost in the mix.
Here's how you use AI, especially these AI avatars. So you just saw us talking, wasn't us. For our brands, say I go out and shoot an actor and I give him a few lines to say some RTBs about the product, right? I hope a light bulb is going off in your head. Okay, that's in the can. I paid thousands of dollars for my shoot for the day, but I'm like, oh crap. 3 months later, I'm like, the RTBs have changed, right? Or I have better RTBs. Well, I can go in, take that actor, right? And redub his lines with new RTBs and new messaging and put it in the market to test. Like, think about that. I don't have to go reshoot right? I don't have to go pay an actor, production, all that sort of stuff. All of this is going to be baked into the rights and the licensing that you'll work out with your actor or with SAG to be able to reuse the stuff right later on. But the cost savings is monumental. And the ability to test not just your static ad where you change the copy, but test video and what they're saying, it's a game changer.
And I'm so glad you touched on the ethical issue because people are really worried about that. They absolutely should be worried about that. And so many brands are going to have a natural gravitational pull to blur those lines in the interest of cost savings. But I think to your point, real actors, real contracts, real transparency, they might get paid more for that shoot, recognizing that they don't have to do all of those shoots. And I think that's probably the most exciting part of this. Well, let me pick up another point on this. What you're talking about is just one AI tool in the quiver. And I think what we've seen are some brands kind of go about this incorrectly, at least in the short term, which is I'm going to make a Super Bowl ad with all AI story, all AI actors. And the world might get there. But I think what's more exciting right now is the notion of baking AI into every critical stage in the development process, not to replace human beings, but to augment human beings, to make us smarter, to make us faster, to make us more affordable, but most importantly, in the interest of serving the audience. How do we understand what people want? How do we create what they want? How do we deliver what they want? And then how do we optimize it? That's not replacing human beings with artificial intelligence. That's simply augmenting us.
Yeah, basically you're better informed. Like one of the ways that we use AI is ChatGPT's deep research. So if you're not a paid subscriber, you should become one because this tool is incredible. So normal ChatGPT uses inference memory, right, to come up with the answers, meaning it's what's already stored in its memory banks, right? And that's what it serves back the answers. Very accurate, very good. But if you're like, hey, I want to do research on my customer, right? Deep research on a certain segment, okay? You can go ChatGPT, it'll spit back some stuff. I think all of us have been like, this isn't going to replace me. Then you go to deep research and you ask it to solve a question like, I want to know what are all the barriers to somebody acquiring this product? What is the mindset? What are the unmet needs? And what should my brand say, right? Given all of my RTBs and my messaging, my features, and my functionality, right? To get to somebody to convert and then pick a channel in social, right? So it comes back. It will ask you about 4 or 5 clarifying questions, which are really good questions, by the way. They change every time. And then it says, look, I'm going to go away for a while. I need about 20 minutes to go and comb the internet and comb Reddit posts and Instagram posts, right? And do deep research on your website and on your product. And then I'm going to come back with a really accurate insight report on exactly what you asked me to do. And it's pages and pages long. And it is incredibly insightful. And I would say pretty accurate on the whole. You might find some inconsistencies, but this is a game changer for many brands who want to conduct and understand who their customer is and what their unmet needs are and how to propel them and motivate them down the journey. A game changer across the board for strategists in particular.
And that's my whole point about augmenting humans, not replacing humans, because it's a skill set. You can go to ChatGPT, ask it a question, get an answer. You can go up into the deep research, ask it a question, get an answer. But there is a very significant skill set in how do I give it a prompt? The prompts that I give it, and I'm no wizard at this whole thing, they're not a sentence. They're literally 200-word prompts very often. I'm getting all my thinking out. I'm spending a lot of time trying to organize it. It gives me my response, or deep research can give you an even bigger response. And then it's about the communication in the interaction on that. Oh, you just gave me 6 key bullet points. Let's zoom into point number 2. Again, a very deep prompt that says, look, you caught my attention with this. Can we dive deeper and deeper into it? And I think for me, that is one of the critical action items is don't necessarily fear AI, embrace it, and get really good at it.
So AI has been around in media buying and planning for a lot longer than people realize. So much so that a lot of the media buying and planning done today is automated, and it's automated through AI. Think about we talked about Meta, you put in your conversion goal, your budget, the interest of your audience, and boom, it's like, I'll take care of the rest. You just give me the ads. And the lever that's left as a marketer is your creative. Optimizing creative has often been a really tedious and hard job, and it's because the data has been lacking. We've used media reports to try to figure out what's wrong with creative. Well, those days are over. You have new AI platforms rising up like Motion or Allison.ai that are enabling AI to come right in and analyze data. So it's automating all the tagging, right, in ads. So is this ad have a woman in it or a man in it? Is it blue? Is it black? What does the header say? What's the subhead say? What's the CTA say, right? And it tags all that stuff, and it spits back out to me, the marketer, results I've never had before, right? So things like hook rate. So did the hook rate of a particular ad, was it good or was it bad? So a hook rate would be like, I'm going to identify the problem, right? I'm going to state the problem right at the beginning of the ad. And it's going to be so compelling that people are going to be like, I have the same problem. And then they're going to keep listening. That's a hook rate. So the hook rate is like who actually stayed and watched the ad. So I have ads that have great hook rates, but didn't convert well. Well, what am I supposed to do with that? You know what I can do? I can aggregate all of the ads that had great hook rates, understand what we did well, and then integrate it into the ads that really did well from a cost per acquisition. And by combining those two, I am juicing basically the ads at this point. I'm taking the best of all the different elements of the ads, and I'm combining them together. And I'm doing this over and over again, month in and month out, in waves of creative. And I'm using platforms like Allison or Motion to basically synthesize all the data. The other thing these platforms are doing is they're serving up AI-based recommendations to my ads. They're literally consuming the ads, the audio, the video, the text, and they're bringing recommendations back saying, this would increase your conversion, right? If your conversion is cost per acquisition, this is what we would do to the ad. If you have a different conversion, this is what we would do. So the power of AI is affecting your ability as a marketer to go out and optimize your creative and learn from your creative at a rate that is probably 10x what it was 2 years ago.
And what's exciting about that is it's not for the sake of being superficial or fooling anyone. What those tools are doing in that use case is understanding what people want. If people love these ads, respond to these ads, engage with these ads, change the way that they think, they feel, they act, that's all in service of the audience, is bringing value into the equation. And there's still people who are using focus groups. Let's get 8 people in a room sitting behind a one-way piece of glass and look at ads and look at print ads. And then based upon their totally artificial input, put it out into the world and then hope to God it works. And then it's over.
Wait, are you saying I can't sit behind the glass and eat M&Ms anymore?
I will bring you the M&Ms. ChatGPT will produce them for you. What actually amazes me is I know a lot of people, and sometimes there are executives that aren't using AI very much. They're not using ChatGPT or any other LLM. And then you speak to other people who they're full-blown adults. They have discretionary income. They're like, no, I just use the free version. I don't spend the $20. This is where you're going to try to save $20, is not have full access to the most profound and modern technology in the history of humankind. To me, what really does scare the shit out of me, and maybe first looking at what really excites me, at least in the short term, is it's about removing mundane tasks, right? Being able to understand what you're looking for about an audience, being able to build a hypothesis, being able to build a strategy and understand the data that you're looking for is a very important skill. Going out there and grinding through hundreds of hours of reading and collating data, that's mundane. Not interesting, takes months or weeks or days, now it's done in a couple hours. Or to your point earlier, being a great actor, using your emotions, using your skills, telling a great story is really exciting. Going through the mundane experience of creating all different lines and all different takes to communicate different RTBs, reasons to believe, that's mundane. So that's what, to me, is the most exciting part of this. But what worries me the most is who typically does those mundane tasks on the corporate side? It's usually 20-somethings. That's how your career starts. Like you do those mundane tasks. And once you get really good at those mundane tasks and you build up that muscle memory, you start getting more and more strategic. Your career elevates, and then you pass along those mundane tasks to other 20-somethings. So I worry about what happens to those folks in future generations. And as semi-obvious as it may sound, what I would say is embrace the hell out of it, learn it, get great at it. I probably spend upwards of 1 to 2 hours a day and at least an hour a day just playing with ChatGPT on a personal level. My jets suck. They will always suck. But I can have really in-depth conversations about like, how do we unsuck the jets? Which is not as simple as like, how do I make the jets not suck anymore? Or you can ask draft questions about, is it better to be in the first round, the second round? Even that's a bad question. How are you defining success? Is it number of plays? Is it winning games? Like these are all there. Is it the amount you play? Is it the amount you pay? Is it the amount you pay per play that the person actually plays? Like these are really tough and interactive questions. So if the concern is people losing their jobs, the action item is embrace it and get good at it really quickly.
I think one of the best ways that young people can secure a future is to look at ChatGPT or Claude or Jasper or Notebook LM, you name it, like the Adobe suite. In order to get really good at any Adobe product, you have to spend hours with it. This is not a simple search box. Prompt engineering is real. And you're seeing it because the development of these tools is now accelerating and there's different aspects and uses for them. That's exactly the way you should look at this. And if you can get really good at all these tools and how to extract the right data and information, you're going to be set. You're going to be set for the next 10, 20 years. One of the things that I love is being able to mix and match all the different AI. I'll give you an example. Do a deep research report all about insights. I take that report, I might put that then into Jasper, right? Because the report itself is written very clinically. So I want Jasper to rewrite it in a way that reflects my voice or the agency's voice, and I've got that.
What is Jasper?
Jasper is basically an AI copywriting platform.
It is better than just using ChatGPT?
Well, it's different. It's really based on writing. It's not based on, let's say, deep research. Copywriting.
Fascinating. I haven't used that yet. All right, go on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No worries. Then I'll take that deep research content, I'll put it into Jasper, they'll rewrite it. And they'll rewrite it in a way that reflects either if I want my voice or the voice of Steve Jobs or the voice of the agency, when I can put in a style guide. I will then extract that back into ChatGPT. I'll say, take all this content. I want you to create a deck for me, right? So I'll take all that, it'll extract it and put it into any deck format I want. I say Google Slides. I take that, download it. Then I put it into a deck builder, right? Not into Google Slides. I'll put it into, say, Beautiful.AI, which is an AI platform that builds decks and diagrams and images for me, right? So I put it into Beautiful.AI and upload that downloaded file that is a Google slide, and then out comes a beautiful deck that has been researched, rewritten, and now designed exclusively for me. And now my job is to go through and make sure that it makes sense. The narrative is clear. It reflects my brand style guide, etc. And it's the right length, whatever else you want to change. And now I have not just a great, beautiful deliverable in my voice, but I've got research and insights, let's say about a particular audience that we've never had before. And I can do that inside of an hour.
That's bananas. And dude, how is Beautiful.AI? Is that decent?
It's great. You can pick from a variety of different templates, usually because it's going into our format. I don't care what template it uses. I just want to make sure that maybe the diagrams are something that reflect our colors, our style, and then out it comes. And the layout is beautiful. The amount of text, it even asks you, this is crazy. It's like, do you want just top level messaging for each slide? So it'll take all the data, condense it down into what's important. Do you want something that is highly detailed, where every slide has more information on it, right? Or something in between. And the AI on Beautiful.AI is figuring out what to pull from this 25-page report to condense it down into a deck, which I told it I only want 4 slides or 10 slides. You get to pick how many slides you want.
And this is only a small part in the marketing journey. You're mostly talking about the discovery phase, right? You're not even talking about strategic planning, content development, creative development, analytics, optimization, etc. And you've already just commented on 3 incredible tools. So you start realizing how we can weave all of these tools through the entire tip to tail journey of creating a big idea. And to your point about beautiful AI, that's what I'm talking about. It's not replacing humans. It's taking away the mundane.
The mundane.
It's good for you. You create great decks. I don't have those genetic skills. I suck at it. I waste so many hours. I've got the point. I know what I'm trying to say. And then I spend 3 straight days working on a deck. That's our industry. You need a great deck. Other industries have other mundane needs. But to be able to have a tool advance that, not 100% to your point, maybe 80%, remove all those mundane skills. And it basically enables us as human beings to move that much quicker and brands to be that much more effective.
The benefit is you're passing the time savings onto the client, right? And a lot of our stuff is billed based on time, which means you're passing the cost savings as well. And if I can get, especially in the research phase, I can get research and data faster and more accurately, and I can get to developing the actual content and putting it in market and understanding what's working, everybody is happier. But you're right. The role of now the strategist is almost editor, right? Where you are sitting on top of the organization and these AI information is being brought to you in the various different formats, and you are curating and editing to make sure the story is right, the data is right, and the insights are correct, right? And it's consumable, right? It's something that can be distributed either at the C-suite or down the marketing level. That takes years of experience to know how to put that together, and it just fast tracks you to that, right? It allows you to focus there, which is arguably the most important part of any sort of strategy, deck, or presentation you can do. It's the narrative. It's the storytelling. Right? But that always comes at the very last moment because you've spent 95% of your time gathering all the inputs. Now you can flip that.
And you could see it improving over time, right? It's going to know your audience, right? You're delivering something to your boss, and it's going to recognize how your boss consumes information, right? For you, you've got a great attention span. You could read all the granular details. I'm a freaking knucklehead. Just give me a big headline in a big picture. Everybody consumes information differently, but it's not just about creating it, but over time, it's also going to be optimizing the delivery of it based upon a lifetime of learning, which I'm already seeing in my personal experiences. I didn't even know this about ChatGPT, but I'm asking it a question, and all of a sudden it was yeah, your son's going to love this. I'm dude, I'm not even talking about my son in this conversation. I quickly learned it's building a knowledge base based on the fact that I talked about my son and was getting holiday gift shopping advice 3 months earlier. So incredibly powerful about how it's going to optimize. But if you zoom out from the research world, there's this great fear about what technology is going to do to people's jobs, right? We went from the quiver to the printing press. We went from the abacus to the calculator. We went from the calculator to the computer to the smartphone. And every single time, people are scared out of their mind that it's going to steal jobs. And if you look at the trends of unemployment, at least in this country, they are not vastly impacted by this. We give people hopefully better jobs and safer jobs and more interesting and less mundane jobs. But technology has not absolutely demolished people's ability to have jobs. But this, to me, seems like a pretty profound step forward, exponential. What do you think, man? I mean, we're marketing guys, but I don't know if we're qualified to answer this, but is the whole world going to be out of a job because of AI?
No. How many times have we heard this? I mean, I know we're not 200 years old, but the same was said when the car was going to replace the horse, right? Here's one more recent. The typewriter, and you can find articles on this, was supposed to displace the whole administrative class, right? all of these administrators, secretaries, et cetera, were supposed to be out of a job. They just assumed like, well, the typewriter's going to do that. Stenographers, right? Court reporters, et cetera. It did none of that. And, one of the people I really like to follow is Mark Andreessen. And he's the one who's pointed this out. It's just going to change the jobs. It's going to create different jobs, more jobs. So the best thing you can do is to dig in and learn these platforms. Don't take them for granted and don't take them at surface level. They're much more complex and deep. The answers that you get back from a ChatGPT, if you take what they gave back and don't ask it additional questions, then you're a moron. Right? That's the power.
And you've got your career caught in first gear.
Totally.
I'll throw a curveball in the mix. One other thing I think about, because I do spend a lot of time worrying about folks in their 20s for the aforementioned reason that a lot of those mundane skills will be replaced by AI. And if I were to speak to my son, my daughter, anyone entering the workforce in their early 20s, in addition to getting great at using these tools, embracing these tools, would be work on your soft skills. In a world where human intelligence will be significantly replaced by artificial intelligence, and in a world where everyone is obviously hopelessly addicted to their smartphones and looking down at screens almost all the time, one of the huge competitive advantages in life will be working on your soft skills. Just getting really great at building relationships, carrying on conversations, taking all that information that comes out of these AI platforms and being able to communicate it at a human level. People will want more and more human interaction as AI continues to grow exponentially. We are social creatures. We're not going to be completely replaced by AI, but more and more people are just going to gravitationally pull towards using more technology, using more AI. Their soft skills will diminish. And those who really lean into those soft skills, leverage their personality and leverage their EQ, they're going to have a huge step up on the competition. Well, I think that's all for today. So on behalf of the real Jeff, the real Jordan, and the avatar Jeff and Jordan's, thanks for tuning in. This is Brand Champions. Have a great day.
Brand Champions is a QUESTUS production. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and review wherever you tune in. You can submit mailbag questions to brandchampions@questus.com.